Welcome back, resilient warriors, to yet another empowering episode of Breakthrough to Better, your go-to space for embarking on a journey of transformation and personal growth. I am Busy Babe, your host. Today we are navigating through an incredibly important topic, turning setbacks into springboards for success. In life's journey, setbacks are not detours, but rather they are stepping stones that lead us toward our destined path of success. They provide us with invaluable lessons, strengthen our resolve, and shape our character. This episode, dear listeners, is a celebration of our resilience and a testament to our ability to transform our trials into triumphs. We'll explore the art of bouncing back, harnessing the power of resilience, and understanding that every setback carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater success. So, powerful friends, let's embrace this journey of transformation together. Remember, it's not about avoiding the storms, but learning how to dance in the rain. Are you ready to turn your setbacks into springboards for success? Let's dive in right here on Breakthrough to Better. P.S. We're doing a giveaway raffle every week for those that leave reviews and comments below. This week's giveaway is brought to you by Layered Jewelry, affordable, stylish, quality pieces that let you express your unique style. This week's winner is getting a piece of their choice. And last week's winner, I will be contacting you for your piece. All right, let's get into it. So the reason why I am smiling and laughing a little bit as I say my intro is because I actually recorded this podcast about a half an hour worth of content. And when I went to go edit it and play it back, there was no sound. My mic died before I even got to speak, which was, I don't know, weird. But also, it was a very personal lesson. And I kind of laughed at it because I was talking for a half hour about dealing with setbacks. And then a setback happens. And I said to myself, well, isn't this a wonderful time to put into practice what it is that I was just talking about? And I have to laugh because after saying how to deal with it, I initially was like, well, now I have to go in and now I have to record it all over again. And it's, like it sets me back in time. And then I thought, well, I just spent a half an hour talking about how you should be using these setbacks to move you forward. And here I am complaining about it when really I should be using this as a lesson for next time. Because the irony is that in the beginning of when I was recording, I actually wanted to do a test recording to make sure the mic worked. And I was like, nah, it's fine. It'll work. It worked before. Fine. And not to toot my own horn or whatever, but I feel like I said some pretty impactful things on that recording, and I am very sad that I can't get that back. But it did teach me the lesson to always test your mic before you go on for half an hour talking about something. So we are coming at this time from a very personal standpoint. And I do have to say that it is a lot more enjoyable when you use these setbacks for good than to sit in them and complain or to wallow. So if I recall, I started off the last recording saying that setbacks is a bit of a misnomer. When most people think of setbacks, they think of something that's actually going to set them back in their timeline or set them, further away from their goal. When in fact, when you move forward towards your goal, it doesn't always mean something good. It could mean something that deters you into a different path, or it could be something that you needed to learn in order to get to where you need to go, or something that's going to transform you into the person that you need to be in order to hold on to that success. And so really, it isn't a setback per se. It's more of a set up. And setbacks are there to set you up for success. They're there to give you the lessons you need, the transformation you need, the fuel you need to get better. And there are constantly examples of successful people who are learning and using their setbacks, quote unquote, as stepping stones towards where they need to go. So, for example, there's a basketball player, I'm sure you know of him, Michael Jordan, and he quotes one of his setbacks as one of his stepping stones to getting where he needed to go, and that was being cut from one of his teams when he was younger. And he used that experience to understand that he needed to get better. He needed to grow. He needed to get better, not only physically, but mentally. And I think that had that not happened, we wouldn't know if he would be where he is today. And I think that's very impactful because even the greats have setbacks. Even the greatest of all time arguably needs a setback in order to grow. And so who are we to think that we, where we are right now, don't need setbacks in order to push us forward? It's like in, physics where you have to pull back something in order for it to go farther forward. It's the same thing where you need to build up that energy in order to move forward. But the only way to bring something back in order for it to move forward is to have a setback. And setbacks are great as lessons for us because it also humbles us. Because sometimes when we have to go through a setback, it's really just a test. It's a test of our will to move forward towards what we want. But it's also a test to our own faith in things that we want to achieve, and also faith in the fact that everything is happening for a reason. So I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. I don't understand the person who doesn't believe that. Because if everything isn't happening for a reason, then how do you explain when you look back and connect the dots, it all makes sense, right? Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be like a little nuisance, like a tire blows while you're going on your way to a trip, or a death, or a tragedy. And those things are very hard to live in that moment and take that and say, well, this is happening for me and not to me. And I think that there has to be a different perspective when you look at that. You have to look at it from, in the future, I will understand why this is happening. Right now, I don't, but in the future, I will. And that requires faith. And faith comes from believing in the fact that you don't have all the answers, you don't have all the control, and that's okay. And a lot of times people will need that control in order to feel good, but it's not the control you want. You have control, you just don't have the control to, control people and their decisions and nature and timing. Like, that's not under your control. But you do have the control of your decisions, your actions, and your thoughts. And when it comes to these setbacks or setups, you have the decision to take those instances and use them as lessons, use them as fuel, use them as a way to get better. And you also have the decision to wallow in those situations, to say, why is this happening to me? To kind of use it as a sign to quit. And instead of using things as a sign to quit, we can use them as a sign that we are moving forward. So if you have a big dream, you will be tested over and over and over and over and over again, and it will feel like life is against you or the universe is against you because you keep getting tested and tested and tested and tested. But that doesn't mean that something is against you. It just means that you are being molded to be the person who can handle what is coming. It's going to set you up for success. And if you had never gone through those trials, when they do hit, because eventually they will hit because life is not an upward, incline, there are loops and downs and ups, and so if you come to your first trial very far into your journey, you won't know how to handle it, and then you might lose it all. So don't think of setbacks as things that are um, for nothing, or things that will hurt you. They're there to help you. They are there to set you up for what you are meant to do. And just like when you go into a classroom and everybody's talking, having fun, and then the teacher comes in and they say, "Oh, guess what, guys? We have a pop quiz today." And everybody groans, and like half the class is like, "Oh, that's fine. I'm prepared for this." And the other class is like, "Oh, this sucks because I'm not prepared for this at all. I didn't do the reading or the homework." And some people are just like, "Well, depending on how hard the test is, I could pass or fail." Like, it doesn't, it depends. Um, and I think that's life, because we are constantly being tested, especially for things that we say that we want. So when you tell the universe or God or whoever that you want something, they will say, "Okay, when we want to give it to you, but we need to make sure you actually want it, because what you want requires resources." So instead of wasting resources on someone who doesn't necessarily want what they say they want, we're going to test you first. And so the universe will say, "Okay, you want that successful business. Well, we're gonna make you sick, and we're gonna see if you still show up to your meetings. Or, you know what, we're gonna have some specific sacrifice happen, like your house burns down, right? Or your loved one dies, or something that could really make you stop and not move forward." And the universe or God will test you and say, "Well, you said you wanted this. So if you really want it, you will find a way. Regardless of what test you are given, you will find a way to succeed. You will use this as a propeller to move you forward." Are tragedies horrible? Yes. Are deaths horrible? Yes. But that doesn't mean that you can't learn something from every situation. You can learn to be stronger. You can learn to have more gratitude for the time that you do have with someone. You can become a better version of yourself because you're more open to those lessons. It's like I said before, where in the moment it's going to be very hard to come up with a reason why this is happening for you. But you just need to have faith that there is something that is in play here that you can't see. And when you don't have that faith, it is very easy to quit on the thing that you want. And the universe will take that as a sign that you don't actually want it, and you're not going to get it. So the next time that you have a setback, just remember, it's setting you up for what you want. It is grooming you for what you need to be. And you are not moving backwards. And it tricks you into thinking you're moving backwards, because when you think you're moving backwards, you want to quit. Because as humans, progress is one of the things that we value the most. We need to be seeing progress in order for us to feel like we are going somewhere, because you won't quit on something that you know is moving forward. So, setbacks. They are not setbacks. They are set-ups. And, we have the power to decide how we view them and what we think about them and how we handle them. And if we just remind ourselves that every time we have a quote unquote setback, it's just the universe or God or whoever saying, "Pop quiz, time to test you." And then you look up and you say, "You know what? Game on. Give me the test. Like, I can take it and I'm ready to move forward." Then we stop looking at them as things that are setbacks. Because you can't be going forward and backwards at the same time. At least in regular physics, you can't be going backwards and forwards at the same time. If we're talking quantum physics, yes, you can go backwards and forwards in the same time, but that's quantum physics, and we're not talking about that right here. We live in the world where you can't move two ways at the same time. Okay, so if you keep thinking that you're moving back when you have a setback, there's no way your brain has the capacity to say, "Oh, well, I'm moving forward," even though you're thinking you're moving backwards. There's no plausible way to think the same things at the same time. So instead, we must look at those setbacks and view them as moving forward, because you're less likely to quit. And when you don't quit, you're less likely, or you're more likely to get what you want. And when you equate setbacks or setups to moving forward, you will enjoy them more, because we enjoy moving forward. We find joy out of progress. And yes, some of the setbacks, setups are not the most fun. Some tests will be harder than other tests. But we have a cheat sheet to tell us that we can use this to help us move forward. And I think that that's great, because most people don't get cheat sheets on tests, but now we do. And, life is a hard teacher, but it doesn't mean that you can't pass the test. And the only thing you have to do to pass the test is to take that situation and learn something from it. That's it. You don't have to, go through a million different formulas and find the value of X or show your work or do any of that stuff, right? It's not a standardized test where, God forbid, you hit C 10 times and you start to worry that one of these questions isn't actually C and plays mind games. But here, all you have to do is learn. Learn from your setbacks. Don't give up, and have faith in the process. And that's all you need to do. And I think we complicate things when things are going wrong, or, what we think is wrong. We complicate it. We try to justify it. We try to complain. We try to make it convoluted, because if it's convoluted, it's not our fault. And we blame something else. But really, we have the control to decide how to handle these situations. We have the control to think the thoughts. We have the control for the actions. And we can break through those setbacks to better. Hence, break through to better. But we only can do that when we make the decision that we can learn from it, that we can grow from this. And it's happening for us, not to us. And there are many different examples of people who use setbacks as stepping stones to greatness. And I think that if we want that great dream, we are going to need to be tested. And that's fine. If you have a smaller dream in life, you won't be tested as much, because this requires less resources, which means, the universe doesn't have to test you as much for it. Like, I don't know, if your dream is just to live comfortably and just to, pay off your, mortgage, and that's it, and anything on top of that is a plus, then yeah, you're not going to be tested that much, because that's all you wanted. But if your dream is to live somewhere in a mansion on the ocean with complete and total financial freedom and the ability to do great things in the world and give back to organizations and, just fight world hunger, whatever it is, like really big dreams that impact the world, then yeah, you're going to be tested, because it requires more resources. But that doesn't mean that you're not meant to do it. Like, if you were in a class and you got a test, like a pop quiz or whatever, and you wouldn't, like, sit there and go, "Oh, I'm being tested. I guess I'm not meant to be in this class." Like, no one would ever say that. But in life, when we're tested towards the things that we want, we think that because it's hard, it's not meant to be. which is silly because life is hard. Life is not easy. It's simple sometimes, but it's not easy. You have to move through the hard to get to the easy. Like, life, I should say this differently. Life isn't all hard, and life isn't all easy. Life is hard and easy. There are times when life is great and you have nothing to complain about. I mean, honestly, we technically have nothing to complain about in general, but there's nothing more that you could want from life in that moment, and everything is great. But in other moments in life, it's hard and you are struggling. And that's fine, but it's not forever. What you see in front of you is not forever. What you're thinking right now is not forever. You have to have faith in a future that is not there yet. And that's the only way that you can have that faith to say, this is going to teach me something, this is going to move me forward. And if we could just have faith that everything happens for a reason, then our quote unquote setbacks will be viewed as something that is moving us forward. And you don't have to sit there in that situation and find out right away what it's meant to do for you, because some will take a while to realize what it is that it's actually going to do for you. But just have the faith that it is for you and not against you. That one idea that something is happening for you and not against you or to you can change everything. And if you quit, you will never know. If you quit, everything will be against you and not for you. Someone could be given the same exact thing in life, and they could take it as a gift and use it as a tool to get them to where they want to be. And you could take that same situation and use it as a tool to hurt yourself. So please look at this as a setup and not a setback. We really should stop calling them setbacks because it's a misnomer, but that is what we're dealing with right now. So in your mind, just remember that these are setups, and we have every control in our body to make it so. And so don't be powerless the next time that something works against you. Don't sit there and wallow and think, woe is me, and why is this happening to me? Sit there and take in the lesson. Sit there and think, how am I going to use this situation to fuel me forward? Because it might not be as cut and dry as like, oh, my mic wasn't working, so now I know moving forward I need to test it out before I, record. It could be something that's like, my mentor died, and I don't know what to do now moving forward, but I know that I'm going to use this as fuel to get better, to grow into the person that I'm meant to be, to really fully play out and live louder and live, more intentionally, right? And that might not come until like a week after the incident happens, but we still have to actively search for that meaning, search for that fuel. We can't just sit there and wait for it to hit us between the eyes. We have to do some searching ourselves, and that takes action, and that takes a decision, and that takes control. So I just wanted to leave that with you guys, that, we are all being set up for success every time something happens that we may not like, but it is needed. And just like medicine, we need to take it. We need to take it, and we need to use it as something that is going to improve us and not hurt us. So that's all for today's episode of Breakthrough to Better, guys. I hope you found some insights and inspiration from this discussion. And as we continue exploring life's lessons and turning them into stepping stones for personal growth, if you enjoyed this episode, please spread the love and share it on your social media channels. Let's inspire others to also strive for their betterment. So be sure to tag us, use the hashtag Breakthrough to Better, Every share, every comment, every review helps us reach more people and make a wider impact. So until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and remember, when you get better, the world gets better. Thanks for tuning in.